Welcome to the FWOT Show on the Coil Entertainment Network, fixing the planet one idiot at a time. I'm Rob Steele, that's Jesus Jones in the background. Yes, there's the new logo, yes, there's the new merchandise on the FWOT shop, which you can get to through the website, thefwotshow.com. Very easy, there's also a link there for the new Jesus Jones album. Go by, pick it up, it's awesome. So, let's get started with the show, and what did the Donald do this week? You know what? Let's start with that. The Donald? Really? The Donald? As far as I'm concerned, the Donald is Donald Sutherland. Or Donald Duck. I mean, seriously. The Donald? How much of a smug prick do you have to be to call yourself the anything? Seriously, I mean, the Batman, maybe. The Donald, no. The only other person I can think of who did something like that, and it is actually a person I liked, but I think he deserved it a bit, would be Rickey Henderson, who was a baseball player from like 79 through 2004, I believe, was his career, and he deserved to call himself by his first name, but there are some major differences. For example, Rickey never said things in interviews like, I did this, I did that. He said, Rickey went out and had a good game today. Rickey went out and made that great catch in the third inning. Things like that. And people thought he was coming off as, being a smug prick, like the Donald. But he wasn't. He didn't start doing that until he had become the all-time stolen base leader, breaking a record that the previous guy took 25 years to make, doing it in 11 years. That's pretty impressive. And that's when he started going by Rickey. But he didn't do it in this smug prick kind of way. He did it in kind of a laughing, jovial kind of way. It had a smile on his face the whole time. The Donald doesn't smile. The Donald is a prick. Just ask the kids in the cages. Anyway, good old Adolf Twitler, because I'm still calling him that, struck several times this week, and none of them are pretty. He claimed yesterday that the German crime rate is on the rise. And that might be true if on the rise meant having their lowest crime rate since 1992. Unfortunately, that's not what that means, Donald. Oh, look, another lie from the Donald. Let's see, what else did he do? He went to Korea, where he talked to Kim Jong-un about dismantling the nuclear weapons there, and they claimed for the, 17th time? If I counted this correctly, the 17th time they've said, yes, we're going to get rid of all of our nuclear weapons. They're not going to get rid of them. You know that, I know that. The Donald thinks they're going to. Well, the Donald's full of shit. But did you see the pictures? I'm not sure I understood the pictures of what happened in Korea. The garden thing? There's lots of pictures of Twitler and Kim Jong-un walking in a garden and talking. And that was very interesting because Kim Jong-un doesn't speak English. And if you listen to him, Trump doesn't really speak much English either. And I know he sure as hell doesn't know Korean. So what, this summit is really a photo shoot? Is that what this is? The photo shoot / summit? No, a summit's where you sit down and you talk and you try to get both sides to compromise on something. That didn't happen here. It was a photo shoot. And Trump doesn't really even know anything about Korea anyway. Seriously. Did you see the other quote? The other thing he said? He said where he wanted to talk to Kim Jong-un because he has had contacts with the parents of soldiers lost during the Korean War who want the bodies of their loved ones returned. Now that's a nice sentiment. I'll give him that. That sounded really good. Until you do some math. The Korean War ended in 1953. Well, if the soldier was 18 in 1953, and let's say his parents were 18 when they had him. I'm not saying her. There were no female soldiers. They were doctors and nurses. I've watched MASH. doctors and nurses were there. But 18 in 1953, the parents were 18 when they had him. That would make them 101 at this point. Now, there are about 53,000 people over 100 in the 2010 U.S. Census. How much you want to bet that none of them talked to the Donald concerning the return of a loved one's body? Let's add a little something else to that. That's 55 years ago. I'm not sure they would have kept the bodies anywhere for that long other than in the ground. And I don't think they kept records of it either. So even if it were true, it's not something that can happen. Go back to doing your photo shoot, Don. That seems to be the only thing you're good at. Meme of the week, because it happens. There was a meme on Facebook showing people vandalizing statues. Now, the first picture showed them tearing down a Civil War statue. The second picture showed people having vandalized a World War II statue. Now, what it says is that allowing people to vandalize Civil War propaganda statues has led to the vandalizing of actual war memorials for World War II and Korea. Well, let's follow the logic here. One, those are statues and replaceable, unlike something that I'm going to bring up here, because we follow that logic and we come up with allowing AR-15s and other weapons of mass destruction to be owned by people in the public in an untrained situation has led to this mass school shootings, where they destroy children who are not replaceable. Perhaps we should worry about that a little bit more first, then we can worry about the statues. Let's worry about the irreplaceable children first. Just an odd note that I came across, because I went looking for this the other day and could not find information in a place that should have information on this particular subject. It's June, squarely in June, which means in the sports world, hockey is over, basketball is over, it's baseball season now. Now, of the first 55 stories on ESPN.com yesterday, 55 stories, only 4 of them were about baseball. Now, I get that the World Cup is going on and, golf and tennis never really seem to end as much as I may want them to, but baseball is, of the 4 major sports, the only one going on right now, and ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, doesn't seem to know what season it is. What the fuck? Now, this is a more personal note, a little story, a little insight into me, because I'm going to be egotistical for me. I'm not going to call myself the Rob, because I know there's a lot of them out there. No. A few weeks ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. Oh darn, I never saw it coming. What? The guy who already knew that his diet was crap and had a family history of it? No, it couldn't possibly happen to me. Well, it did. And I knew it was coming. I'm on meds. Oh darn. I knew this was going to happen. I'm going to be fine. Unless my wife kills me. Which is a possibility because let me tell you what she started doing. The day after I was diagnosed and got all these meds and shots and everything, my wife came home from work and said, I had a meeting today with whoever it was, and they had the most wonderful cupcakes at the meeting, and there were some leftovers, so I brought them home. Oh, goody. Thank you. Cupcakes. Just something the diabetic can eat. Thanks. The next day, I was in another meeting, and they had the most wonderful brownies, and I brought the leftovers home. You're trying to kill me, aren't you, honey? Cupcakes, cake, cookies. Big ass plate of I'm like, why are you bringing these home? The kids don't need any more sugar anyway either. But that's not actually the point of where I'm going with this. Because I have been diagnosed, I have started reading the labels on food a little bit more carefully than I was before. Anyway, reading the nutritional labels on everything, I'm finding that some things are surprisingly higher in sugars and carbs than other things. Like of the Chex cereals, right? The main three being rice, corn, and wheat Chex. And wheat Chex have always been kind of pushed in that category of, this is the healthiest one. It's got the most fiber. It's also got like twice the carbs and 5 times the sugar. Holy cow, the healthy one is the worst one for you, diabetically speaking. Just, things like that. And I was reading the nutritional label on snacks, because every so often you need to have a snack. That just happens. And I looked at popcorn, and the nutritional label on the popcorn had 3 columns. The first column is the one that everything has. It's how many calories are in this thing, how much vitamin A, vitamin C, your carbs, your sugars, so on and so forth. And the second column is usually where you find all the information that pertains to the first column about that particular food. Except there were 3 columns on popcorn. I've seen that on cereal, one for with milk, one for without milk. Not sure who's eating the cereal without the milk, but hey, whatever. Popcorn has 2 labels, one for popped popcorn and one for unpopped popcorn. Who the hell eats unpopped popcorn? I mean, I know after you've popped the popcorn, you have those couple not entirely popped kernels in the bottom of the bag, and every so often you go, I'll see if I can eat this, and you put it in your mouth and you go, crunch, crunch, crunch. That was tasty. Crunch. Call the dentist. I just broke a tooth. Crunch, crunch. Who's eating unpopped popcorn? Seriously, I would like to know. And if you do know, send me an answer. Go to the website, thefwotshow.com. There's buttons for Facebook and Twitter where you can send me messages. There's an email button where you can send me an email. Or if you don't even want to go to the website, it's rob@thefwotshow.com. Go to the website anyway. There's buttons for YouTube and iTunes and the Google Play Store and Blueberry and all that stuff. Subscribe to the show. There's also the button for the FWOT shop where you can pick up, the new logo on a hat or a shirt or a coffee mug or whatever. It's a fun little site to go to. There's a couple little extras on there. I'm not going to tell you about them. I'll make you find them for yourself. So there. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with what is possibly the weirdest story I came across this week. It was about a Florida couple named Tito and Amanda Watts. I'll put their names in this, that's fine. They were arrested a few days ago for selling golden tickets to heaven for about $99 per ticket. They were giving buyers a solid gold, it's tinfoil, ticket that will allow you to get into heaven. In his police statement, Tito Watts said, I do not care what the police say. The tickets are solid gold, and it was Jesus who gave them to me behind the KFC and told me to sell them so I could get me some money to go to outer space. I met an alien named Stevie who said that if I got the cash together, he would take me and my wife on his flying saucer to his planet that is made entirely of drugs. Wow. Really? The police actually said they confiscated over $10,000. That's a lot of tickets, folks. Look at all that tinfoil. Over $10,000 in cash, drug paraphernalia, yeah, who knew, and a baby alligator. Because who doesn't sell tickets to heaven without their baby alligator? Yeah, I don't get that either. In the meantime, have a good week, everybody. I'll see you next time, and, if you're buying tickets to heaven, make sure they've got their baby alligator, because that's a vital piece of paraphernalia. You know what? Just be safe. That's all I'm worried about anymore.